bunch of the boys were whooping it up in the Malamute Saloon. And the kid that handled the music box was hitting a ragtime tune. Back of the bar in a solo game was Dangerous Dan McGrew, and watching his luck was his light of love, the lady known as Lou. When out of the night that was 50 below and into the din and glare, there stumbled a miner, fresh from the creeks, dog dirty and loaded for bear. He looked like a man with one foot in the grave, hardly the strength of a louse. Still, he tilted to poke the dust on the bar, and he called, "Drinks for the house." Now, there were none of us could trace this stranger's face, though we searched ourselves for a clue. Still, we drank to his health, and the last to drink was Dangerous Dan McGrew. Now, there's some men that can grip your eyes and hold them hard like a spell. And such was he, and it seemed to me he spent his time in hell, with a face most hair and a dreary stare of a dog whose day was done, as he watered the green stuff in his glass, and the drops fell one by one. And I got to thinking who he was and wondering what he'd do. And I turned around, there watching her was the lady known as Lou. Then his eyes went rubbering around the room, and he seemed to be in a daze, until at last the old piano fell in the way of his wandering gaze. The ragtime kid was having a drink, and there was nobody else on the stool. So the stranger, he stumbled across the room, and he plopped down there like a fool in a buckskin shirt that was glazed with dirt. He sat, and I watched him sway. Then he gripped the keys with the talon hand, and my God, that man could play. Have you ever been out in the great alone when the moon was awful clear and the icy mountains hemmed you in with a silence you could almost hear, with just the howl of a timber wolf, and you camped out in the cold, a half-dead thing in a stark dead world, clean mad for that muck called gold, while high overhead, green, yellow, and red, the north lights shone in bars? Well, you've a hunch what the music meant for the hunger, the night, and the stars, and a hunger not of the belly kind that's banished with bacon and beans, but that gnawing hunger of lonely men for a home and all that it means, for a fireside far from the fears that are, four walls and a roof above, and oh, so packed full of cozy joy, and crowned by a woman's love, a woman that's dearer than all the world and truer than heaven is true. Oh, how ghastly she looks through her rouge, the lady known as Lou. Then all of a sudden the music changed, so soft you scarce could hear, and you felt your life had been looted clean of all that it once held dear, that someone had stolen the woman you loved, and her love was a devil's lie, and your guts were gone, and the best for you was to crawl away and die. It was the crowning cry of the heart's despair, and it thrilled you through and through. "I guess I'll lay out a spread, Miss Sayre," said Dangerous Dan McGrew. Then the music seemed to die away. Then it burst like a pent-up flood, and it seemed to say, "Repay, repay." And my eyes got full of blood. The thought returned of the ancient wrong, and it burnt like a frozen lash. And the lust came back to kill, to kill. Then the music stopped with a crash, and the stranger turned, and his eyes, they burned in a most peculiar way. In a buckskin shirt, glazed with dirt, he sat, and I watched him sway. Then his lips went into a kind of grin, and he spoke, and his voice was calm. "Now, boys," said he, "you don't know me, and none of you give a damn, but I'm here to state, and the words are straight, and I'll bet you my poke they're true, that one of you is a hound from hell, and that one is Dan McGrew. Well, I ducked my head when the lights went out, and two guns blazed in the dark. A woman screamed, and the lights came up, and two men lay, stiff and stark. Pitched on his head and pumped full of lead was Dangerous Dan McGrew, while the man from the creek was clutched to the breast of the lady that's known as Lou. Well, these are the simple facts of the case, and I guess I ought to know. And some say the stranger was crazed with hooch, and I'm not denying that's so. You see, I'm not so wise as these lawyer guys, but strictly between us two, the woman that kissed him and pinched his poke was the lady that's known as Lou.